Hello, this is Lynn Silver, and sorry for being away for so long. I was just so, it was stressful since, I gave up trying to do what ifs for, a month, and then when I finally gained what I had left, finals were thrown at me, and then I just wanted to just do nothing, so this is my first attempt at doing a what if again, but I won't tell you this is the first attempt made. So, yeah. Also, if you know any of the characters that I'm throwing at you, I respect you, and you're cultured. But some of these aren't actually characters, they're just OCs of other people and stuff. So don't be too sad if it doesn't look like anyone you recognize. But I will be disappointed in the ones who don't get them. Just a bit. I still love you guys. And thanks for the ones who are sticking close and just keeping updated, even though it's been a month since I uploaded. I love you guys, and let's continue. Narrator POV. The 14 other stars of the kingdom came and bowed in front of the trio, and in unison says, "We greet the king of the Southeast Empire." The 14 stars bowed their heads. The second-born, Louis Abel of the Queen, and the younger brother of Prince Arthur. The idiot, but he's taller than him, and is also the general of the Royal Knights of the Empire. The third prince, Amir Adbala. I hope I'm saying that right. I swear if I butchered that, please someone correct me. The son of the second concubine from the Middle East. Apollo Castellio, the son of the third concubine and the fourth prince of the empire. Roxana Agrinci, second princess of the Southeast Empire and the daughter of the fourth concubine. Jeremy Agrinci, the fourth prince of the empire and the son of the fourth concubine, and the brother of Roxanne, who is also one of the royal knights. Haisel Idone, sorry if I said that wrong, third princess of the empire and is an elementalist. Navier Eli Laszlo, first princess of the empire and the daughter of third concubine and next to be empress if not taken by the first prince, Arthur the idiot. James Allah, fifth prince of the empire and the royal knight in training. Yurian Sardelino, sixth prince of the empire. Kale Henitz, fuck it. Seventh prince of the empire. Elise de Clorence, fourth princess of the empire and a universal doctor. Elliot and Lenny de Ronnoff, the eighth princes of the empire. Leslie Salvatore, fifth princess of the empire. And lastly, Anisha Rodko Hyperion, the sixth princess of the empire and the youngest. Sorry if I butchered that a little bit or a lot. Also, quick side note, they all have different last names because they take the names of their mother because they want to, they don't respect their father, or they just want to be more connected with their mothers. They glance at each other with confusion before the king says, "Have a seat, my children." They take a seat, and they all sit down, and they're near Tubbo and Michael since they're at the ends. They look at their father, and Louis says, "Oh fuck. Okay. I'm sorry. I have a headache, so that's probably not an excuse, but okay. Father, may I ask you why we are here? Your invitation was quite sudden. Are they guests? The king says, do you remember the time I have told you all about the underground kingdom and how we gain half of our most powerful resources from them? They all nod, and the king says, they're all the 3 great kings of the underground kingdom, Thouryth, King Tubbo, King Rambu, and King Tommy in it, and their sons, Michael and Ray, and do respect them. They look a bit confused, and how they made a child with 3 males and no females. And Princess Navier, so glad I got that right, okay, says, wait, okay. How were you able to make children with just the 3 of you? Rambu then sighs and says, Michael is me and King Tubbo's adoptive son and the uncle of King Tommy, while Ray is the son of all 3 of us being created with magic, but he is a real boy, but do know that they are my children, and if you have a problem with it, there will be consequences, but I do trust you won't be like your siblings. Okay, God damn it, why did I wait? I was so scared. Okay. Just making sure. They look. They look at each other, thinking, who would have done that? Navier then says, may I ask who insulted His Majesty? Rambu then responds, you can ask the king. Navier then looks to the king and he gives a deep sigh and he says, the first prince, Arthur, didn't seem to remember when they met, and will compensate you if you wish. He glares at Arthur, who is slowly sinking in his seat, when everyone stares at him with a glare, too. Rambu's POV. Okay. I glare at the kid before breaking the silent comments and stares, and I say, well, let's discuss this compensation. I was thinking of some of your experimental weapons or just money and riches. The king thought for a second and then says, I will think about your offer, but for now, may my children have a chat with you. Well, I do excuse myself, and I hope you have a fun time chatting. He stands up and walks out the room, and the 5th prince then says, King Rambu, may I ask you a question? The kid seemed to be excited, and I looked over to Tommy to see he was glaring at the kid, and made him a bit uncomfortable, but he still had that spark in his eyes, just waiting for his answer. Rambu then chuckles and says, I see, you're curious. Go ahead, I give you my permission. His eyes practically became fireballs and says, are you Enderman from the books? Are you the Enderman from the books? Do others not know about Endermen? Has he ever seen one? Weirdo. Rambu then says, I'm half Enderman and the other is something else. But I do have a question for you, if you do not mind, 5th Prince. His eyes light up and say, please, ask away. Oh, and please call me Prince James. 5th Prince is too informal since it's you, King Rambu. The prince seemed to be excited about what Rambu was going to ask him, but was kind of nervous. Okay. Oh my god, I almost threw up. Thank god it was on my... Okay, let's just continue. Jesus. Rambu then says, have you ever seen an Enderman? Have you seen it illustrated? The prince then says, no. The king said that all Endermen fled the kingdom since we were hunting them for their eyes, and no one has seen one since. I wasn't born yet, Your Majesty, and since their only purpose was their eyes, and no one dared to look in them after the years, they have forgotten what their appearance was, but others say they're just fairy tales. So, to answer your question, no, Your Majesty. I didn't know they hunted them down to our caves, so that would explain the amount of Endermen increasing within the cave, and above the cave. They came here to avoid the other kingdom hunting them down, and since we had villagers and traders with the eyes, we didn't need to hunt them, so they were being okay in the vicinity of us. I feel like I butchered that, even though it's English. I then heard Rambo say, interesting. Do you think Enderman has understood to travel a long distance to get away from danger, and then stay with a different group because they have no interest in you? Such a good strategy. Rambo then looks up and then says, "Oh, I do apologize. It's just Endermen are not fairy tales. They're real. I am an example. But Enderman eyes are purple, and I have green eyes. But I am a descendant of an older Enderman who had green eyes, and not the newer Endermen who have purple eyes. You could say I am a fairy tale," he said with a smile. He seemed to like the boy's amusement and his curiosity of the Enderman. Prince James then says, "Could I question you, King Rambo? And could I get closer?" Rambo agreed, and they went to talk. But I then felt a tap on my shoulder. I then looked back to see the fourth princess of the empire, Elise de Clorance, tap my shoulder and says, "King Rambo, it's a pleasure to meet you. She's a global doctor, right? She looks like she can faint at the sight of blood, but I shouldn't underestimate her just yet." I then say, "Fourth princess, it's an honor. What brings you here to talk to me?" She then says, "I was wondering if I could examine your scars. They seem to be severe." I then say, "Oh, these are old scars I got before when I was king. Want to see?" I smile, since she seemed concerned for me, which makes me happy. She then says yes, and I lift up my hair above my eyes and reveal my scars. Her eyes show her worry and fear of what I had to go through to get these. I smile at her to try and lessen her worry, but it was still there. She then says, "Did it hurt?" She touches my cheek, which was on my cheek, which had one of my biggest scars. I then say, "Oh, of course, but it was a long time ago, so no need to worry." I smile at her, and she, with a sad look, was filled with pity for me. But she then says, "May I ask what the first prince said to your husband?" I then say, "Oh, insults about his appearance and other things, but don't worry. She didn't apologize for the prince's behavior." And I say it's okay, and she really didn't need to apologize. But the one she really needs to apologize was Rambo, not me. And she wasn't supposed to apologize in the first place. It was the first prince who needs to apologize. She agrees, and she was actually a very nice girl, and I offered her to sit next to me, and she agreed. We got talking, and she said she was struggling with being underestimated because she's a woman and being small and petite. I say, "Don't let them get you down. You can do so much better than any man." She thanked me and asked me who helped me with my wounds. I say, "Oh, she was a friend She was a friend in a time where I was positioned a power that I got injured by who I thought was on our side, and she healed me. Well, tried. It wasn't the best, but she did the job. She then says, "At least you're okay now." She then excused herself and went back to her seat, talking to one of the other princesses, which I think was the first princess, not sure. I'm then left alone to look over to Tommy, and he's entertaining himself with practicing some of his magic, but I ignore and play with Ray and Michael. Tommy and its POV. While I was figuring out with my magic, fidgeting with my magic, I was approached by one of the princesses. She is the younger prince, Leslie Salvador, one of the princesses of the Empire. She bows and say, "I greet one of the kings of Thouryth." I then bow and say, "I greet the 5th princess of the Empire. Now, what do you need, little miss?" She then looks up and says, "I was wondering, you possess magic abilities, correct?" I then say, "Yeah." She then says, "Could you help me with my magic?" I then say, "What is your magic like, little Lise?" She then says, "I'm a black saint." I then say, "So, black saint. Yeah, I know a little bit, but Rambo's the one to talk about black magic and stuff. He's pretty good with it. And he also has other stuff you can learn, at least the basics, with me. Is that fine?" She then nods, and I tell her to hold out her hand. She hesitantly holds them, and I see a slight burn marks. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying they've been healed, but some remain due to being so severe. I then say, "Who did this?" She then says, "They are from my biological family. They tried to burn me. But now I'm with my adoptive family, and they're really nice." I smile and pat her on her head, and I grab her hand and say, "I want you to grab my arm with your shadow, okay?" She nods, and the shadow starts to move up my body and to grab my arm. I feel strong pressure, and she notices my discomfort. She then stops and apologizes. I say, "It's fine. It's fine. No one gets it perfectly on the first try." I then feel someone staring at me, and I look to see Tubbo, who signs, "Wow, you're actually nice," with a grin on his face. It just gets me irritated, and I sign back, "Yeah, and you're not getting any pastries from me," with an irritated smile on my face, and he does the same, and we just glare at each other. Okay, that's the end. Sorry I didn't get any other pictures. I probably stopped here with the actual imagery. Sorry, it's just kind of late. So yeah, I'll probably upload this today, if not tomorrow. Love you all. Hope you have happy holidays, happy Christmas, happy New Year, not New Year's, New Year's, Christmas Eve, and bye.